Help support Friendo Club by going to patreon.com/Steven Larson or clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson. Access to bonus episodes, question threads for the Going In Raw podcast, and entry to our monthly wrestling predictions challenges. Join the Friendo Club today. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And it's time for our WrestleMania 40 XL. These star ratings are extra large and they're extra hot, Larson, because you woke me up this morning at 4 a.m. It's right now, it's 5:26 a.m. Pacific time, because you woke me up. You were like, dude, we got to get these star ratings out now.
It's quite a tale you're telling there.
If
you said 7, I'd be like, all right, that makes sense, because actually that's how early I was up today.
You know what, Larson? This Wednesday, I'm going to show the actual security footage of you waking me up at 4 a.m.
Oh, wow. Why wait till Wednesday? Do it now. Do it now.
No, because right now it's time for star ratings, Larson. Our fresh WrestleMania XL Night 1 star ratings.
14 hours after the show ended, we're recording this. Not like those other guys that wait a whole 5 days to get their star ratings up.
We got to wait till the middle of April. Here we are in the beginning of April. We got to wait till the middle of April to get those other guys' star ratings. Another victory lap for Steven Larson. We're racking up the wins this year, Larson.
We are. Huge W's.
Oh,
W Riz for Friendo
Big
Club
W's.
Wrestling and Steven Larson.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. We got 7 matches to talk about. Let's start with the first match on the main card that seemed to make the most sense.
Yeah.
Talking about Rhea Ripley defeating Becky Lynch to successfully defend WWE Women's Championship. Steve, what'd you give this one?
I really enjoyed this match. I thought especially Becky Lynch giving us her flu game, so to speak. All this time it was strep throat, and she didn't need the dude wipes like Jordan did back in his flu game. But I thought it made Rhea Ripley look like an absolute monster. I thought they did a lot of cool stuff. To me, this is a 4-star match. This is what I look for in big championship matches, and I thought they delivered. Just for some comparison against last year's Rhea Ripley 4 horsewomen match, I know I gave that probably, I don't know, 4.5 or 5.
We didn't do star ratings for Mania
we didn't
last
do them.
year.
I'd have given that one like a better star rating, because I thought they gave it more time, a bit more compelling. But I can't complain about this one. 4 stars from Steve.
Yeah, I gave it 4 stars as well. I agree with you. I didn't think it was quite as good as Rhea and Charlotte's match last year, but a really good championship bout, and perhaps it would have gotten a higher rating if there was more drama involved in it. Outcome seemed pretty clear going into it that Rhea was going to win.
That's a good point.
Both of us had high confidence points in terms of predictions on this match. We were so certain Rhea was going to win. And the general idea of this match really establishing Rhea Ripley as the most dominant force in the Raw Women's division, that was the goal going into it. It accomplished said goal. When she hit those double riptides at the end, especially that last one where she really basically deadlifted Becky up. It's effective in showing Rhea as dominant. And 4 stars. I'll agree with you.
All right, next match.
Next, tag team ladder match. Now we got 2 sets of champions instead of 1 undisputed champion. Of course, Awesome Truth, Raw tag champs. A-Town Down Under, SmackDown tag champs. This match was fine. It was perfectly fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it ever really transcended past fine and fun. There was a couple of the spots where DIY hit those 2 bits where Gargano did the slingshot DDT out of the ring out through the table on the floor, and then Ciampa with the air raid crash off the ladder. That was neat. And it was awesome seeing R-Truth finally get his WrestleMania moment, after such a long career. That was cool. That being said, good match. I gave it 3.25 stars.
I went a little higher than you. I went 3 3/4. I thought that if there was just that extra little amount of drama, and because I went back to rewatch this morning, I really, really enjoyed it. I think that if there was that extra little bit of drama added to it, it could have like leapfrogged all the way to like 4 1/4 territory. But that being said, I thought it approached that the right winners here, even though like it's like, okay, what's going to happen? I thought that the winners made a lot of sense. but obviously not a foregone conclusion because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
But no, I really enjoyed this match, so I gave it 3 3/4 stars. But it didn't quite hit like, man, this is like a 4-star situation here. Yeah.
Next up, Andrade and Rey Mysterio teaming up against Dominic Mysterio and Santos Escobar. Steve, what'd you give this match?
This one I would go into like, this was fine. It did the Philadelphia Eagles thing at the end, which I don't even know if that was necessary given how many people are involved in the Legado del Fantasma and LWO.
Yeah.
We were hoping for something with Carlito, and that didn't really happen, but maybe that's just us, projecting. Andrade looked amazing like he always does.
Yeah.
So I gave this 3.5 stars. I thought it was fine.
Wow.
Oh, what? You give it much lower?
Yeah, quite a bit. I thought it was just fine. It was short. It didn't really progress much. We knew going into this that Andrade was buddies with Rey. Nothing changed there. No development in the Carlito aspect of things. Even though I guess commentary, I missed this during the show because we were talking, but apparently Michael Cole referenced Carlito being disgruntled potentially about not being picked to be Rey's partner. But let's see that play out. It was fine. I only gave it 2 3/4. I thought it was just kind of okay. It wasn't long. The match didn't have a ton of time to develop a whole lot. It was just kind of all right.
Long day yesterday.
It was a long day. That's not the lowest score, though. That's this next one.
Yeah, okay.
Brother versus brother. Yeet versus no Yeet. Jimmy Uso taking the L to Jey Uso.
I'm assuming you gave this no Yeet, Larson.
Yeah, this is firmly no Yeet territory. So here's the deal. Here's a bit to preface before I give the star rating. And maybe this is not fair, but if there's... I'm not even talking expectation. If there's the ingredients there for something special to happen, something memorable, something that will really get you emotionally wrapped up in the story being told, and is complete failure in all those fronts, I don't look favorably upon it. All right?
Yeah.
And this is one of those scenarios where you have brothers in the ring who, over the last, SummerSlam basically, 8 months or so, have been feuding on and off. And that's then you take into account their long history together in Bloodline and preceding Bloodline. They're one of the most decorated tag teams in WWE history. And this is their first match. And it's been basically universally panned. The reception to this, everybody's like, yeah, worst match on the card. Worst match on the card. And the ingredients are there for it to be one of, if not the best match on the card. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It was a total letdown.
Yeah.
I gave it 2 stars.
Yeah.
I thought it was not good. It didn't give us anything in terms of the emotional resonance it could have.
Yeah.
And just as a wrestling match, it wasn't really creatively put together at all. 2 stars.
Which button here is the super kick button?
Yeah, I just hit that a lot.
Oh, man. You sound like a fucking teacher. Giving the what for to a couple of jackasses in their class.
It was really disappointing.
Guys, you have such potential. And you're dropping turds in this class. Listen, I know it's not, it can't be too much to ask that you understand how many states there are in the country of the United States of America. How did you get only 48, Jimmy? I can't put it any better. I feel like maybe the length of yesterday is also adding a little bit of much needed venom to your, but very subtle venom. Not venom, but like, your disappointment levels are so off the charts. It's amazing.
And, we talked about this at length, during the stream.
I gave it 2 stars also, by the way. It's funny because before you started your rant, I was at 2.5 and I was like, dude, this guy's totally right.
Yeah.
Oh,
and we
man.
talked at length about, how maybe in terms of presenting the stories on this show, WWE decided, take a broader approach, and not be so specific about the subtleties of the stories they've been telling for the last year. Yeah. Because in this match highlights it more than any other. There was no subtlety. There was no nuance.
Man, I wonder if maybe Jimmy and Jay, one of 2 things, maybe they overthought it and because they seemed legitimately so excited to have a match against each other at WrestleMania, and maybe they were like, maybe they just froze up on the occasion. Maybe it's like, hey, let's lay something out.
It's not just them. There's producers, there's agents that put these matches together.
I don't know.
There's a creative department that I would assume will say, hey, these are the story beats we need to hit during this match. It's not just Jimmy and Jay. This feels like all up and down the ladder. It was like, all right, we're going to do like the Cliff Notes version of what the story should be.
But that's the thing is like the story beat was there. Jimmy tried to take advantage of Jay's goodwill and compassion, and then, ended up not working. But it was so simple. They didn't do anything more with it, with so that simplistic. Idea.
It was the very basic idea, and there was no subtlety, complexity, nothing. It was one note.
I think when you say that, because those are sort of abstract concepts, in terms of the moves and what you're supposed to do, let's extend it out a little bit, let's get a little bit more out of it. Let's milk the moment a little bit, stretch it out, give us more. I'm with you, man. This is the one that I feel so bad for these guys because I feel like they really wanted this, and I hope they have another opportunity to do this, and to make good on it. Because it was not good. My other thought was maybe they just don't have chemistry as opponents.
Could be.
These guys have been teaming. I mean, they're literally twins. They've been teaming, in life since inception.
Yeah.
And hell, even conception. And then, in their professional careers, they've been teaming for God knows how long, maybe a decade,
years, something like that. Yeah.
Right. And then it's like, hey, let's have a match against each other. Maybe it just doesn't work.
Could be.
Maybe they just have dog shit chemistry together.
Could be.
It's like when you have a real life husband and wife team on TV together, and it's like this. They don't have good chemistry on camera. It's weird.
I know.
I don't have an example of that, but yeah, that could be.
That could be.
Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, maybe.
There you go. Let's move on to this one. Damage Control losing to the team of Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Naomi. Steve, what'd you give this match?
I gave this 3 1/4. I thought that it was it was very simplistic. There were two things that really stood out in this match, and that was obviously number one, the presentation aspect of things, making Jade look like a look. Let's be honest, this match existed for one reason, to get Jade over as a big star, to have her first big WrestleMania match. Damage Control served that purpose absolutely perfect. They were, everything that Jade did. The crowd was big into Jade. She came in, looked like $1 million. It is kind of interesting, though, to see. You can almost kind of see them, in her movements, having unlearned what she learned in AEW, because it does kind of feel like they started from scratch with her, and I'm kind of curious, how they're going to get her more reps, and because she, she doesn't look as confident. She didn't look as confident in there as she did kind of in AEW when they were just having her do incredibly simple things. And so, I don't know, reps is the thing, but you can't get reps without the potential of exposing somebody's, in-game lack of experience or in-ring lack of experience. So in terms of work rate, obviously that's not sort of the point of this match. The point is Jade's a big star. She's going to be dominant, and they put her in there, and mission accomplished. I gave it 3 1/4 stars for those reasons, because it was mission accomplished. But there wasn't really much more to it than that. But the chemistry between, I'd give this 4 stars if I can include the press conference, because the chemistry between these 3 women is off the charts, and I hope they keep them together as a team.
I hope so too.
Jade seems so happy in her current position, and I love to see that, and I honest to God hope that she succeeds to her fullest potential, because man, she is her presentation
sky's
is
the limit.
Next
Sky is
level.
The absolute limit. Yeah,
it is a 10 out of 10. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, if in terms of, you're right, in terms of presentation and chemistry between Bianca, Jade, Naomi, it's 5 stars, absolutely.
Yeah.
The way they're presenting them I mentioned this on the recap. We talked about it a lot during the stream. They're like superheroes. They're from the future.
Yeah.
It's incredible. This was the shortest match on the card. It set out to accomplish one goal. It accomplished that goal, as you mentioned, establishing Jade as a star. I'm not too far off from you. I gave it 3 stars. Maybe if they'd given us a bit more time, a bit more back and forth. It was a pretty simple match in terms of the layout. Naomi was isolated by damage control for a stretch. The build was to Jade getting that hot tag. She eventually got it, leading directly to the win. 3 stars. Fun match.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see what they do with Jade and them as the unit going forward, because sky's the limit. Yeah. Absolutely.
Damage control was such a perfect opponent for them. They're so wildly entertaining. Like Kairi Sane and Asuka dancing to the music, but doing like thumbs downs and being all obnoxious with it. Fun. I love them so much. They're so wonderful. I hope Damage Control as a team, doesn't now. I don't know how this Io Bailey thing's going to shake out. I really want Io to win so that Damage Control sort of remains on top.
Yeah.
Because right now they're really hitting a good stride with Dakota as sort of like the Bailey replacement, if you will.
Yeah.
It's really good stuff.
Let's move on to the Intercontinental title match. Gunther's reign finally came to an end against Sami Zayn.
Dude, this has been one of the most divisive matches I've seen in recent history. I put out like a hot takes thread for WrestleJuice because I'm about to do that.
Yeah.
And the split between people on this match, and it's not even necessarily the match quality, it's simply it happening. The outcome, perhaps.
And I've been pondering this match quite a bit since it happened.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the story they set out to tell, they told it well.
Mm-hmm.
You can't quibble with the performances of Gunther or Sami Zayn. So if that was the sole criteria, really good match.
Mm-hmm.
Presentation of it was fantastic. I think for me, I'm not huge on the stories of someone dominates a match for 12 minutes, their opponent gets 3 moves in to get the win.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah,
I understand in actual fights that can happen where someone can get wrecked for a while and get a good shot in. And I do appreciate that in this instance, the good shot was the top turnbuckle brainbuster, but wasn't Sami to do that forever. Finally did it. So that popped me. I'm happy for Sami Zayn that he got that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I've waffled between 2 very close scores on this. I really enjoy the work of both these wrestlers. We love Gunther here. We love Sami Zayn.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been waffling between 3 3/4 and 4.
Yeah, me too.
And I
me
think
too. That's literally where I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm listening to what you have to say. Also,
I don't know if anything I'm going to say is going to convince you to the same degree that the Uso match did to choose one or the other. But I'm going to land on 3 3/4. Just something. Maybe here's the thing. It got 15.5 minutes. Maybe if after Sami had started his comeback and gave Gunther his best shot, and Gunther kicked out of that, and then we had like a 3-minute stretch of just back and forth, like super competitive, that culminates with Sami getting the win. Maybe from a storytelling perspective, it would have been more satisfying. And maybe then it would have been 4 stars or higher. I just felt like there was a little something missing. Like they rushed the third act of this match a little bit. So I'll say 3 3/4.
I don't disagree with anything you said. So I'll go ahead and give it 3 3/4 as well. It feels weird not giving this match 4 stars, and honestly, like I'm trying not to think of this through the lens of a massive Gunther fan, which I am.
Yeah.
Because I'm also a massive Sami Zayn fan, and I know everything that I said on the Raw review when they did their thing was in typical going in Raw fashion, largely in jest, but also I thought it was a valid critique that they kind of hot-shotted the Sami needs to get to the gym angle.
Yeah.
I think, and you have it exactly right. Sami gives Gunther everything he has. Gunther still kicks out, and then Sami really has to kick it up into that other gear that Gable was talking about. And that probably is one of those things where it's like, okay, we're not going to quite give it to 4 stars, but if it did that, guess what? It might actually be 4 3/4.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'll be honest with you, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think Sammy's the right guy to take it off Gunther. Back a while ago, when people would ask this question, who's taking it off Gunther? I said, I feel like it should go to another, I would prefer not to be like a Braun Breaker, somebody just coming out of NXT, or even, for that matter, Ilya, because their story wasn't really, and they can do recap packages, but their story was told in an empty arena in NXT UK. Mm-hmm. Like, nobody watched that. And I want shit, why not just do Jordan Devlin while we're at it? You know what I mean? Because he actually beat Gunther as well. Sammy's a guy with history with the IC title. And he's a main eventer, or sometimes main eventer. He's been in the main event plenty. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's got all the credentials. So I was like, okay, a guy like him or Jay or Sheamus, who's never won it. Those are guys that can continue to elevate the title. And I think that's what you want. You want this title to be able to main event legitimately, Raw, and maybe even pay-per-views. And so Sammy's the right guy. It's either Sammy or Gable. I think Gable would have been fine too, if you gave him more time.
Yeah, they tell the story. Yeah, leading up.
So it's the right thing. It's just, I know Sammy, like what a Sami Zayn pay-per-view level match is.
Yeah.
And this kind of wasn't it.
It was close to it, though. That's the thing. It was close.
It was close to it. It was close to it.
They just gave it that little, they fleshed out that third act a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Because you had Sammy taking everything that Gunther had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I understand that Sammy busted out something he doesn't do very often, the Brain Buster.
According to one to Myth Gifts, he hasn't done that in WWE.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. I know, because I know Devlin didn't, and one other person did it, but I guess it wasn't Sammy.
Yeah, Devlin did it, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the main event. Cody and Seth losing to the Bloodline. Put your ones up, Steve.
Be one of the last times we probably do that.
We got to get it all in today. Because
man.
Who knows, we'll be able to do it after the main event of night 2. So what'd you give this one?
45 minutes. Let's talk about the positives first, because 45 minutes is largely the negative. Rock, for what I was expecting, looked great.
Yeah.
Didn't gas. Character stuff I really enjoyed. I liked the story. I thought that the story beat of him letting the ref know, if you fuck us on this, you're fired.
Yeah.
Meaning if you do your job, you're fired.
Yeah.
And the ref being really torn about that, because that really did sort of set the stage for the rest of the match once that happened. A lot of brawling to the outside, obviously.
Yeah.
This match meandered all over the place, including entrances. It was over an hour.
Yeah.
But the last 15 minutes of the match, which, in Bloodline matches, sometimes when you get to the point where they're about to do the 10-minute, 15-minute finish, it's amplified because you just sat through, I guess, 30 minutes of what we just sat through. The 45 minutes to me, honestly, felt like a half hour. It did not feel like 45 minutes, and that is kind of a testament in my eyes to the match. I simply gave it 4 stars. I thought the story beats were there. I thought the finish was there. I thought the finish was absolutely fantastic. Everybody's performance, Rock eating that spear, which was one of those, you love that the Bloodline matches, it's got to have that one moment where you're like, oh, shit. And that, to me, elevates the entertainment value. It catapults it. Maybe it would have been more than 4 stars had it gone only a half hour, and it would have felt a bit snappier, because 45 minutes is a long time. But again, looking back at my experience in that match, it's not necessarily something I'd watch again, but I'd watch the last 15 minutes again. But it didn't feel like the totality of that, and maybe it's the way we consume this, you and I, with the crowd and everything. But yeah, I thought that the enormity of the match itself, to me, carried it to be a 4-star match.
So again, another match I was kind of torn on how to rate it. So I relied on math, kind of, to get my final score, because you got 30 minutes of a 2.5-star match. To be honest, it was plodding. It was a bit of a slog. Mm-hmm, it seemed meandering. Some of it felt like a bit of a filler. It was all prelude to get to the final 15 minutes, which is the chunk of the match that really mattered in terms of, for the most part, the storytelling aspect, save for the one beat where The Rock telling the ref, hey, don't DQ us or you're going to get fired. that was like the one kind of essential story beat I felt like in the first 25 30 minutes of the match. And a lot of times the bloodline matches, the Roman matches, I feel like WWE books them to go long so they have an epic feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
length doesn't necessarily lead to memorability, you know, or weight or importance. Because there's been a number of Roman matches that have gone long that have been just kind of slow and plodding. And shoot, his match against Jay at SummerSlam. I think the aspiration was, oh, this is going to be a huge, weighty, emotional moment, and it just kind of languished. It didn't really go anywhere.
I will give you a caveat on that one. Roman was injured, and because when you say there's been bloodline match, he was. I think it was early on in the match too. When there's been bloodline matches that have done that, that's literally the one that stands out. And you're absolutely right about that one. But I kind of feel like that was a bit of an outlier because the rest of them, and I don't know, I can't remember every single one of them. Yeah. Like, I don't remember how long the LA Knight one went.
Yeah, it wasn't half hour, 45
It wasn't a half. They weren't putting that guy through an half-hour match. I absolutely take your point.
But, you know, and I think the idea, again, is to create these mythic matchups. And
sure.
And in my mind, and maybe it's not fair, you contrast with, you know, a 45-minute Roman match or a half-hour Roman match where you got all this stuff that kind of lays the groundwork kind of for the last 10 or 15 minutes, kind of that with like something, and this is probably an unfair comparison, but I'm making it nonetheless, Okada and Omega, where they go 70-some minutes, and from the opening bell to the final pinfall, everything has purpose. Every little move, every story beat has purpose leading to the finish. And
did you say 70-some-odd minutes?
Yeah, their last match went 70-some minutes, didn't it? The 2 out of 3 falls.
Okay, yeah.
There's no time limit.
You're probably right. Good Lord. That's a lot of time to be sitting there during a match.
I know. So, anyways, it's a roundabout way saying, I said, all right, it's a 2.5 star first half hour. It's probably a 4.5 star last 15 minutes. Because once things started going, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and you got movement. You know, not just in terms of the quality of the match, but in terms of the character stuff. You have the Roman spear on the Rock. You have Seth saving Cody from the spear. There's a lot of good character stuff happening.
Yeah.
There's Seth saving Cody from the rock bottom. Seth going out of his way to make sure Cody was in the best position to win. Now let's see if Cody does that for Seth tonight.
Yeah, right.
So I averaged it out. I actually was generous towards the last. I did 60%, 2.5, 40%.
God, we've got fucking Steinerman. We got Larson Matthew.
4.5. And I think that landed me about 3.5 stars, so that's what I'm giving
it. Fair enough.
I figured it's math. You can't quibble with it.
It went almost 65 minutes. The Okada Omega.
I know. that's
and is that the one that got like the best Meltzer rating too? I think.
Yeah.
Is that the one that broke it? It was like
stars,
7 stars.
Yeah, it was a tremendous match, man. It was really
good. That's a lot of time right there, man.
It is.
I'm all about efficiency these days, but maybe not because I gave this 4 stars.
Maybe not.
Yeah, all good points you made there. Anyways, that's what we think about WrestleMania Night 1 and our star ratings. Please let us know what your guys' star ratings are in the comments below. And hopefully we will see you tonight for WrestleMania Night 2. Yep. WrestleMania XL Night 2. We'll be doing it live at the youtube.com/Steven Larson, so the other channel. And, of course, at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Hopefully we'll see you there. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.